Tim, you know what I hate about magazines?
What I hate the inserts that fall out every time that you flip a page. But what do you hate?
Do they still do that? That's interesting. Stand by. Let me see. I think it depends on the magazine. Okay, so I actually enjoy magazines. I remember like as a kid going and like looking at the stands of all the different things. I think stuff like that is interesting just to see like what pops out, because at one point in life it was kind of like Blockbuster. What's going to get you to pick up that title and then maybe become infatuated with that and do a little deeper dive into that thing. However, the thing that I hate about magazines is when you have to like go to this is such a good plug, by the way. Like, I'm just going to throw it out there. As a germaphobe, the thing that I hate is like when I'm at the dealership or I'm at the barbershop and I'm waiting and there's a stack of all those of magazines and I got to touch them. And I'm like, where has this person's hands been before? I don't even want to touch a doorknob.
That's a surprise about you, Zach. I did not see that coming.
Why? Seriously?
Because you don't touch anything.
I have changed my mind and I don't touch anything anymore. However, I got this magazine in the mail yesterday. I was super excited to get it. You got yours too?
Yeah.
Because when I got this, I was like, ooh, I'm going to use this on the show, because today we got a returning guest, if you will, on the show.
Going back to episode 60 was the first appearance.
Yes, and I think we should keep him in the backstage as long as possible. So he's like,
this is because Scott doesn't stay quiet this long, and we can he has no voice right now.
Yeah, he's
and we can just torment him.
You're gonna bring him on. So this is what is this? This is Runner's World. Became a subscriber over Christmas break, I think, because they gave me half off or something like that. But this is my own, so I can touch it, and I don't have to worry about other people. No inserts in this one, though, I don't think. Let's see.
Yeah.
But you're right. They are annoying. But there's all promos in this everywhere, I guess, right?
Right. The thing that specifically about Runner's World magazine that I never understood was, if you get the paper copy that's mailed to you, that does not give you access to the online version. If you want the online version, maybe they changed their ways, because I told them, I was like, look, I don't want the paper. Save the paper, save the tree, save the environment. I just want to look at it online. And I was like, man, there should be a company where you can just view magazines online. Hey, Scott, what's up?
I'm just waiting for my cue, guys. Like, I'm just letting you guys go at it. I mean, look, I got physical magazines too. I'm not gonna lie about it.
What
and
is
by
it
the way,
about?
well, real quick, the reason why you don't have an insert is because it got sent to your house. There's no reason for them to spend that money on an insert that goes to a house.
So if that was one at a shop or at a store, it's going to have an insert because they don't think that you're
they're hoping at least one person will grab it. Yep. So that's pretty common practice with them. I mean, think about it. Like, print.
So they have two different lines, basically. One that goes. Yeah. Got it. One with our.
When I was younger and teenager, without a lot of money, it was always nice to get the free samples of like the cologne, and that was always pretty sweet.
When you rub it on you, like from the magazine. Gee, I wonder how many people rub that on them first before you put it on, like. And you gotta wonder where they rubbed it on before you put it on your face. Like, hey, the best magazine out there, by the way, if you guys like the absolute best magazine you can get, this one with my son right here, little Freddie on his cover of his first magazine, being a star baseball player. Man, that's my oldest son, so it's really cool.
Do you think he's choking up enough?
Hey, look, man, don't be getting on there judging. You weren't no coach.
Hey, listen, word of the day 2 days ago, I believe, maybe it was in yesterday, was choke. So,
hey, wow. True story. I could show you some scary pictures. My son got hit with a baseball bat. That was probably like the scariest dad moment. He had his helmet on, but the person in front of him wasn't paying attention, and the backswing came up and got him right underneath. Had to rush him to the ER. His forehead swelled out. No, it was practice. So. But it was funny because I'm on the road, I'm jamming, probably doing like 100 miles an hour, and I'm on the phone with 911, and I'm letting them know it's me. I'm in a Jeep. It's not supposed to go 100. Jeep Wranglers are not supposed to go 100 miles an hour.
Very
I said,
difficult for that to happen.
and I was, yeah, and I said, look, if you want to let state troopers know and police know, if you see me zooming by, I will not stop. If they put lights on, I'm heading to the ER with my son.
What'd
And
they say
they're
to that?
like, well, they said, sir, you can't speed, and if you do, you're subject to getting a ticket. And I just responded to them, I'm willing to risk it. I said, can you patch me into the hospital? And they did, and so they had someone there waiting, because when he got hit in the head, it was really, really scary, because I was about 60 feet away from him. And as I got closer, because he started crying instantly, which is actually a good thing, because you want them crying. And I watched it go from small and then bubble up right in front of me, like fill with fluid. And so, of course, as a father, my first reaction was, crap, is this, did this get to his skull? Like, is this something,
Right.
something worse than what it is? So luckily he's good. He's great.
Is
He's
Freddie
actually
the
playing
oldest?
soccer. He's the oldest. Since we last talked, I now have a newborn. I have a 3-month-old son. So I have a soon to be 6-year-old son, soon to be 4-year-old daughter, and I have a 3-month-old son. And as I like to joke with my wife all the time, and she knows this, if she's watching this, she'll know, or she'll play along with this if she was on. But I said, if she wants another child, she just got to find another guy, because it ain't coming from me. So
how old is your startup, Scott?
Well, that's funny. So
That's like
Magazine Jukebox, was conceived. We'll use that word. How about that? It was conceived during COVID. And then after COVID, we actually officially were a company and incorporated in August of 2020. August 20? No, yeah, August of 2020.
If it was during COVID, it would have to be. Yeah, so almost 2
Yep.
years.
So
So
you
a
got
6,
four.
a 4, and a 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've been enjoying the hustle while building a company.
Next week's guest, Kim Hasty, says that had to be terrifying. It's
terrifying.
terrifying.
It was a scary moment.
Just hearing it like blow up like that, like that's.
But it was a scary moment. That's for sure.
Okay? Obviously, I'm not a doctor, but like, if it gets to the skull, is that the worst thing? I would think that the skull is there as a protective mechanism. You don't want it to go further behind that.
There is. So the good news is, and I'm sorry, I'm looking at my phone trying to pull up a picture if I can. It's pretty gnarly.
Graphic images may appear closer than
right. Yeah, I don't. It's pretty bad, but it's not like it's not going to gross anybody out. It's just I think it'll be a eye opener of what could happen. But it didn't break the skin. There was no blood or anything. Just massive bruising. And then the doctor said that they believe it was a hairline fracture, but there's nothing that they can do with that part of your skull with the child, especially. So they said it just has to naturally heal. And so the other part is, like, thank God it didn't go any further down. If it would have hit the nose, hit the mouth, teeth, or chin, or even the neck, it could have been something way worse. So it was really
a 6-year-old swung that bat.
A 9-year-old who wasn't supposed to be there batting was not paying attention and swung the bat. So the force of a 9-year-old hitting at the time a 5-year-old, it was pretty bad. So the only problem with when you have kids is that you take tons and tons of pictures.
Okay, here's how you do it. Do you have an iPhone?
Yeah, I know. There's probably a search feature.
You got to go. Nope. You just got to go and figure out around what time frame it was. So go to the year, then go to the month, and you know what time frame that was, and that's how you do it. But we're going to pass on this at this point because we're
okay. No problem.
You're taking too long. I do want to make a side note though, as we're speaking about technology, because obviously you have a technology startup in it, and it's important.
Yes.
But I've had my iPhone. I've had an iPhone for the better part of the last decade. Love an iPhone. Okay. However, recently I've just been like, okay, I'm going to get a new phone at some point soon. I don't know when. Sometime in the next, I don't want to say anytime real soon. Sometime within the next 9 months to like 3 years. I like to really wear out my phones, right? I've been thinking about getting an Android, just to get an Android and try something different, right? Don't get an iPhone, don't ever. I just saw Tim's face, like, what are you doing? And then my wife, I realized that my wife and I, because we have 2 dogs, we will send like dog pictures back and forth to each other, right? And every once in a while I'll send like a selfie of myself. I'm like, hey, and I don't ever do that. But so I had gotten this picture. I remember I'd sent this picture, or this person had sent this picture to me who has an Android, and it was always really pixelated. You couldn't see it and anything like that. So if you have an iPhone and you primarily do business or communication with someone else on an Android, the pictures don't come back in very clean back and forth to each other. So why aren't those two communicating like that? Do they just hate each other? What do you guys think?
I would suspect that they do hate each other in some ways, in some regards. But you know, like you hear stories all the time. Well, oh, you have an iPhone. Well, that's a Droid technology or pieces components are in it. And then you go back vice versa. You say, oh, you have a Droid, and what I find absolutely stunning, and I'm not trying to peel off of that because I really don't know. I have no knowledge of why the pictures are like that, except for I carry an iPhone. I like my iPhone. But what I find amazing is it's like it's a sense of like contention between people. Like, oh, you're a Droid user. Oh, I can't.
I thought that was like 10 years ago.
I can't be associated to you. You have the or oh, you wear an iPhone, or you wear an iPhone. You might as well wear it. I mean, we're wearing it. I think.
Yeah, you're wearing Jinkos.
AirPods. Oh, hey, don't get me started on some old school. I tried to find some
Bugle
starter
Boys
jackets. Remember the single pocket starter jackets? The football teams. I tried to find a playback or a throwback of those for the Super Bowl. But hey, look, real quick, I want to show you. I found it. All right, you ready?
Whoa!
Here
Oh,
it comes.
gnarly.
Ready?
I ain't watching.
Look at this.
Oh man,
that was his forehead. Ooh. But here's him like 2 hours later with me and my wife at the ER. So anyways,
that's a nice for those listening on the podcast. That's quite the goose egg there.
Yeah, if you imagine if your full forehead is 5 inches wide as a child, it covers up 3.5 inches. That's how big of a goose egg that thing was. So, anyways, yeah, it was pretty interesting. Yeah, I mean, but look, all good. Like I said, he's playing soccer now. He's also interested in basketball. We want him to play everything and figure it out. So, and hopefully we'll get him back into baseball. But anyways,
so you just told us some big stats. You off the show. You just told us some highlights of the last 39 weeks or so since you've been on. A pretty significant raise. A lot more clients. Tell us those numbers again, and just maybe the old the escalator pitch of. So I'm gonna change that, Tim. I'm gonna make it the escalator pitch. Or the stairway pitch, something like that. Not the elevator pitch. Let's make it more fun.
Before Scott gets going with that, I mean, that's part of the whole thing. Scott being a returning guest, having him back a second time. I mean, this is a great platform. So the first episode was to introduce the founders. We had Scott on, talked about the business. For those that are hearing Scott for the first time, we'll talk about what Magazine Jukebox does. But then as a second appearance, it's a great way to show the progress, further tell the story about what's happening with the business, and so it's a great tool for you to show people your progress.
Yeah. So it was funny. I was like looking back and I was saying, okay, where were we at? 39 weeks ago. I didn't actually count the weeks, but I just kind of look at the time frame, and it's crazy. Like we were still in concept thought. We were still building out the platform. We were still, not sure where capital was going to come from, full capital. And since then, we have not only created our product, and our tech company that we are partners with in this is called Simple Thread. They're out of Richmond, Virginia. Totally incredible people. Justin Etheridge is one of the partners there. Shout out to them. But they created our platform. It's working. It's live. We actually went live January 3rd, because 1st and the 2nd was a holiday. And so we went live January 3rd. And then from January, we have already landed ourselves in over 130 locations, paying customers. And we're actually excited. We're working now with Baptist Health of South Florida, which includes the Miami Cancer Institute. Super thrilled to have them as part of our platform. This is one of the creations that they've made that they're going to be putting up all throughout their entire facility. And this is like, there's so many things that you learn when you're starting up a company, things that you don't think of or that you don't know. So like one of them was that we took is that this isn't just for waiting rooms. Like when you're thinking of the doctor's office and you're thinking of, you go and you sit down and you wait. The problem is like there's multiple waiting components now in a doctor's office. Sometimes they send you even out back to your car, although I think that's going to finally end and we're going to see that coming to an end.
Yeah, I mean, Google's forcing all of their employees to go back to the office in the next month.
Yep, I believe it. Yep, and so what's crazy is like, okay, so you go in there, you give them your name, you check in, and then you wait, right? And then they call your name, and when they call your name, you go back to a doctor's or the patient room, and you wait again. So with the outmoded physical magazines in these places, the problem is that you can only have so many magazines in a waiting room, and good luck trying to find one that's up to date. Good luck, like we were talking off screen about how nasty they are sometimes, like when people pick them up and where were they, where were their hands, what kind of cold they have. COVID's around, it's going to stay around. Flu is around, it's going to stay around. There's a lot of other things that people can contract through germs. So what society learned as a whole is like, hey, look, anywhere we can remove touch points, let's do it. Let's remove touch points. And so we kind of, we really just kind of fit right into that plan of, hey, removing touch points, making things more clean, everything's up to date. It also eliminates theft, believe it or not. You know how many people have hijacked a physical magazine because they wanted to finish reading an article?
Yeah, well, they're $19 a pop now, so of course.
Well, yeah, that too. And so we, and what's interesting is like you held up a physical magazine, Zach, and we like to share all the time that we don't believe physical magazines should go away. We want to be really clear on that. We actually think that there is a place for physical magazines, just like in my office or just like in at my home. Like that makes sense. The only people that are going to be touching this thing is either myself or people that we know, family, friends, whatever. But when it comes to a commercial space, we don't believe that physical magazines need to be there anymore. We think that digital magazines are here. Digital is here. Anything that can go digital will go digital. I think I said that in our last show. And I think that having Magazine Jukebox inside waiting spaces, car dealerships, hotels, resorts, casinos. I mean, can you imagine having the QR code next to a slot machine? The casino would love that, right? Because they just want them to park their butts there and play and play and play all day long.
You think?
And a bunch of them have books, have magazines. They're playing on their phone already. Why not give them something to read that's digital? It's a great way to scan. So we're actually in communications with the resort casino out in California now, which is exciting. We're also, and I can't say the name, but I have a meeting in April with one of the largest hair salons in the country. So, and we're talking over 4,500 locations. So we're really excited about that conversation. And
no insider information. Come on, hair cuttery. Let's bring on Magazine Jukebox.
Can't say names. Can't say names. Can't
but hey,
confirm or deny.
Do you think this hair wasn't made at that cuttery? Come on.
But what I am saying is anybody hears this and you have a connection to any of those type of places, send them our way. We want to talk to them.
So I went to the I think I even took a picture and sent this to you. I went to the doctor, I don't know, annual checkup January maybe, Tim. Mm-hmm. I brought my magazine with me and I was reading it. I did exactly what you said, Scott. I sat there. Oh, hey, here, give us your insurance card, blah, 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 blah. Sit. 25 minutes, 4 articles. I read real slow. Oh, come back to the room, do blah, blah, blah. 15 more minutes. Had I done that with their magazines,
that's a good time. That's pretty good. 15 minutes waiting.
Yeah, well, the time I was there before, I sat there for 3 hours. But you're right.
I believe that.
But you're right. I mean, if it's this thing on your phone, it's a lot more accessible, a lot more options. Likely, it's a no-brainer. Okay, so in the last show, you talked about 2,500 at a certain price. Did you bail on that promo? Are you still doing that? How did that turn out?
Yeah, so we have in any startup, you will pivot and you learn, right?
Yeah.
So I have this saying that I adopted, which is first you learn, then you take the L out of it, and then you earn. So we went through this whole learning phase, and now we're earning. So, but we're still learning too in the process. And what's really neat is that we've learned that a lot of people like a monthly subscription service. So we actually offer $19.99 a month now to commercial, to businesses, proprietors. We also have some options for a 3-year plan that gets it all the way down to $8.33 a month. So it's really almost, pennies. Like, I mean, think about it. If you have 10 guests a month and you're open 20 days a month, so you have, 200 guests come through, and even if 10% of them used our platform, you take $8.33 divided by 20, and that gives you what you paid to help them have a more enjoyable experience. It's really pennies on the dollar. And so we have pivoted off of that price, and we have made some changes there. But I want to touch back just real quick on the waiting room, and I'm glad you said that. So when you go back and you wait in the patient room, they're able to put these codes up everywhere. It could be in the break room. It could be in the patient room. It could be in it could be at the cafeteria at hospitals. It could also be in bathrooms. Not that I recommend that, but it could be good quality reading in bathrooms. I think we can all agree to that. So it's like they literally get to put it up everywhere instead of getting a stack of 20 magazines that they got to go put out and distribute, right?
That people
Now
take
they
to
just
the
put up-
bathroom.
take to the bathroom, right? Or don't wash their hands and come out and use it. But so now all they have to do is the person can scan, and as long as they're within the proximity of that location, then they get to use it. So even if they come in and scan it and go sit in their car while waiting, they can still
I was
enjoy
going to
magazines.
ask you about that. So you just geofence like around a hospital or something like that?
Yeah, so we just changed this up. It's really kind of neat. So at first we were like, each location has its own QR code, especially like each location does have their own QR code, and that makes sense. But for those locations that have like 100 locations or have 5,000 locations, we now give them one code, one primary code. We link all the addresses, and then we use reversed proximity geofencing, meaning that they will scan it, and then what it does once they hit the verify button, it's looking for the closest location, and if you're within a distance of that close location, it'll allow you access.
How long does it keep it on for? Like 90 minutes, 2 hours? Is it
36 hours? 36 hours. So someone gets to go and take it home.
Interesting.
It is. Yep, absolutely. So we had to protect the brands. The idea is that someone will enjoy the magazine and may encourage them to want to maybe subscribe. There is a subscribe link button on there that they can subscribe right on our platform. But if they don't subscribe, the other way that magazines and publishers make money is viewership. So now they're going to have raw analytics that they're going to be able to say, hey, Adidas, I want you to advertise in this magazine. By the way, we have this company over here, Magazine Jukebox, that this is on their platform, and it gets us, 20,000 reads or 20,000 views a week, and so we're going to be able to, over the course of 1 year, you're going to get, 1.6 million views, whatever. That's not the correct math, but you get what I'm saying. 1.6 million views. So we're going to sell you that ad space for $350,000. And Adidas is like, here you go. Done.
Does the magazine track the clicks on an advertisement, or do you track the clicks?
So
how does that work?
So we're teamed up with a company called eMagazine. eMagazine actually digitizes the magazines themselves, and we're in partnership with them, and they actually are doing the analytics on their end for how long someone's on the magazine and how long they're reading it, and potentially, we don't ask for, and this is another thing, this is really important for viewers and guests who are listening to understand this. We are not an app. So someone doesn't scan our code and have to download anything. There's nothing that you have to actually download. So you're not downloading an app, which is asking you for your name, your email, your phone number, and then they're going to track you while you're not using the app. We're not doing that. We are a web-based platform. So when you scan it, you're getting instant access to the magazines. You're going to be able to enjoy and read them. And as long as you don't clear out your web browser, then, some of you probably need to clear out your web browser, but those who don't need to clear out their web browser, you can leave it on there for 36 hours, and you can, so if you see like a recipe, you want to take it home, great, just don't clear out the web browser, open up another web browser, continue searches there, leave that on there, and you can continue to read that magazine. But yeah, it's a simple technology, but we are not an app. We don't ask for personal information. And the way that we were able to do that is because businesses and proprietors are paying for the service to give to their clients. No different than a physical magazine sitting there, except we get way better analytics than them guessing who's reading it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I remember them saying that a magazine is read 5 times. There's a guy, Veer Magazine. I probably said this last. Jeff Mazie. I think he still does Veer Magazine. He came around and said, "Oh yeah, this magazine is read 5 times," or something like that. And that was somehow they had data points. I think maybe I was thinking about advertising in there at one point, and I was like, okay, like that seems weird. But regardless, at situations like that, that's something that they'd said. When you say 130 locations, you don't have to go super deep into this, but is that 130 single locations, or some of those like ones that are like a hospital that's like 17 branches? How is that kind of broken down, or is it just 130?
It's completely diverse. So there is, we have some that have multiple locations with us.
So is that one to you, or do you count each one?
So each physical location is a unit. So we sell it by the unit.
Cool.
But as far as like we have nail and hair salons, we have cafes, we have car dealerships.
Where there's congregation.
In fact,
let's get into something deeper. It's irrelevant.
Oh gosh, hold on. I got to say a quick plug. Casey Auto has brought us on with all their branches here in Hampton Roads, so we're now there, and also we're contracted with Kings Mill Resort, huge resort. Anyways,
well, I was trying to get off of my bad question to get more off of you. Okay, so you said Casey Auto. Okay, so that's great. If Casey would be mad at me for saying this, but as I think of like the big boy in town, is it maybe Priority? Priority has all of these different places. It seems like they have a lot of, maybe there's someone else, maybe it is Casey Audio, whatever it is. When you're in a community and there's a lot of locations and things like that, is it easy to go in there and has it been easy to sell to a Casey? Has it like, did you get pushback from Priority? Have you tried there? You just drive around Military Highway or Virginia Beach Boulevard, or it seems like, what is it, Warwick, or something in Newport News? They're just, there's dealerships everywhere, and they're all owned by the same people, right? Like you go, I would think that you get one, you get all of them, but like what kind of pushback are they having in kind of in these situations?
So some of the things like where we had to pivot is that we were actually sending out like packets, and we were thinking, hey, we'll create the best packet, and they get in, they distribute the packet. But then what we realized is that actually consumers would much rather do their own marketing. They would rather print it out and put their own designs on it. They really, at the end of the day, just want the QR code. So we stopped actually sending out packets, and we started just giving them digital, the QR code, and then we will create, and we send it to them every month, like some ideas. Like if it's February, we'll do like a Valentine's Day one that they can go and slide out the one ad and put it back in its place or whatever. So that's up to them. We actually have I think it goes live in like the next day or so. But where someone can actually come to our website and they can click on, some of the marketing material that they would want that's specific to them or potentially specific to what we've created. But so getting these companies on board, it's not hard. Like what's crazy is it's not hard to sell this product once I can get in front of the right person. It's always the gatekeepers, like trying to get to the right person, getting them to hunker down and talk to me. All I need typically is 15 minutes of their time, and I show them a demo, and the thing sells itself. It just makes sense to have it in there. It's clean. It takes up little to no real estate. They can put it throughout the facilities. It costs them no different than whether they have one stand or they have 30 stands up.
Seems way cheaper.
Yeah, minus the paper that they have to print out. But, that's way cheaper than buying a magazine. There used to be services out there that used to bring magazines and drop them off for free at like dentist office because they wanted to do that. Problem with free is that most people, they don't really care that much about free. They discard it. They don't, they have no investment in it. And so what was happening with a lot of these magazines, again, there's no way of telling how many people read it. There's no way that they can give true analytics on it. And then the cost of physical print magazines, which I'm really proud of magazine publishers in general, just because you may not know this, but they are required, and they made a decision to make sure that all of their magazines are 92% recycled, which is great. Like they use recycled material to create these magazines and send them out to everybody. Excellent. The problem is magazines in all these places, only 20% of them actually make it to a recycling bin. 80% make it to our landfills. And so for every 100 locations we're in, we actually have calculated that we have removed about 7,500 pounds of waste in our, and it feels good. It feels good to do something like that and giving back to the community, doing our part to help make things a little bit better. And again, not trying to take away from physical magazines. You want it to your home, great, but don't take it, it doesn't need to be in a commercial space. So it's like, do we just lose Zach?
No, he just, it's just you and I for a second.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, that's the environmental aspect, I think, is a huge thing. That's awesome that you are tracking that because, to me, it just, man, it's just a lot of paper, and it's one less thing that people need to straighten up and organize before they leave for the day, kind of thing. So do you are tracking that in terms of the environmental benefits that that you're easing from the different locations?
Well, yeah, absolutely. We call it burning the candle on both ends, because we linked up with an amazing charity called One Tree Planted. Go check them out. I'm pretty sure it's onetreeplanted.org. But they literally plant trees all throughout the world, and they look for areas that are hit hard, like California or Australia that had these massive fires. They need to get trees back in there. They need, it's amazing, like the rainforests that are just getting smaller and smaller, by the year. And they're helping with that. So we said, hey, look, we'll link up with you guys. And what we'll do is we will, we're removing waste and simultaneously giving, for every location that comes on board, we're giving to this charity to go out and plant more trees. So we're taking less of our resources and we're giving more resources out there. And so that we just felt like that was absolutely a calling that we needed to be a part of. And so, which is exciting. And that is a new relationship that we built over the last 30 days, actually.
One Tree, is that the one that had that video that was like millions of views, like that bow guy? Is that what?
I'm not sure on that. But onetreeplanted.org. Yeah, so there's but yeah. Oh, I think I know what you're talking about, where it was a young man and he wanted to plant like 20 million trees or something like that.
Yeah, it was viral.
Yeah,
I feel like right at the beginning of COVID or something like.
Yep. Yeah, it's not that gentleman, but that was somewhat of inspiration though. When I saw that, I was like, hey, why are we not linked up to? And then we wanted to find companies that link up.
It's amazing how many trees go down a day. Like it's
well,
wild.
I think that from a marketing play, which would be pretty neat. Maybe you're doing this, Scott, but do like part of the onboarding process. You go to a new location, you tack up the sign with your QR codes, and then you pick up and you collect all the magazines, man, and then you can show how many magazines that you're literally collecting, weighing it, doing whatever you need to do from a metric standpoint, and then making sure that they're recycled. That's pretty neat.
Tim, I'm going to call that a nugget, and I appreciate you giving that to me. I think we're my marketing director, I'm sure, is listening to this, and we're gonna tap into that, because we do have like a whole basket of magazines.
Stacks, yeah.
And what we should really do is we should get a scale, weigh like what 10 of them weighs, and that's typical waiting room has like typically 6 to 7 magazines. Weigh that,
at least
and then
4.4 ounces.
Yeah, but then you got to times that by 12 months.
Right.
So you take the weight and then you take that times it by 12 months, and that's your real number that you're removing from going,
and all the germs on that, like the.
It's interesting. Like, look, I think with the germs thing, like, and it is true. Like, whether COVID was a thing or not, we never really focused on the COVID component, because we know that COVID over time is going to go away. And if we put all of our eggs on that, hey, this is going to be a COVID product, then when COVID went away, then what? Then what are we? Sure. And so that's why we actually don't talk about like COVID and pandemic so much, but we do talk about germs. Like there's all kinds, like I was saying before, flu, you got COVID, you have syphilis.
Well, just like the cleanliness plus saving of the world aspect, I think is for some people a very unique selling point. I'm interested in, is it you're doing creative per location, or is it general cookie cutter creative per location? Does that make sense?
No.
So you said that you're going to go in and you're going to give them a piece of paper or something to put up on their screen. Are you doing that specific per location, or that's tied specifically to them, or is it? Are you just making that once and sending it out? Are you saying like Sally's Beauty Supply, boom, or are you just saying download Magazine Jukebox to get your thing?
Yeah. So we send every proprietor that signs up, they get their own specific QR code,
personalized.
And so we will send them in an email it's either in JPEG, PDF, or PNG. What's interesting about this is SVG. A lot of us know about SVG is great, but there are a lot of entities out there that have really high security protocols on their computers, and SVG forces you to open up a website in order to look at it. And that could be blocked. So SVG is not so great for some of these franchises that have these security protocols. So we'll use PNG. We'll send that to them. and they will, and that's specific to their location. Now they have multiple locations. Let's just say they have 100 locations. They're still going to get one code, but then we're linking that one code with all the addresses that they gave us. And so you have to be within proximity of any of those addresses for that code to work. Otherwise it doesn't work. And so it's not like they can take that code home and say, oh, sweet, I'm going to take this home. I'm going to enjoy free magazines at my house. It won't work there. And if it does, that's a breach. We'll find you.
I want to jump into the sales and selling aspect, man. Here we are. We're 60 days into the year. It is February or March 3rd. You got 120 paid locations since January. So you're talking like 20 a day.
Yeah. Yep,
no. Anyway,
I said roughly.
Yeah. But in terms of the selling, are you doing most of the selling? How is that working? I have found founders are so afraid to sell, man. What do you tell founders that are afraid to sell?
You got to do it. I mean, like, you're going to be the most expert of your product and the cheapest cost. It's just, so founders really, have to go at it and go after selling the product. And I'm glad you're showing on the screen, some of our displays there. But
I think it's very, up with what Tim is saying.
Founders have to get out there. They have to be on the ground. I'm always available via text, via phone call, email, whatever it is. You could ESP me, and I may get it. I don't know. So it's like, you have to be on it. And the truth is that you have to be. I think it's really important for founders to understand when they're creating their price. I always say, make a price that covers your cost, but make a price that doesn't make someone look away. And so the minute you have a price that someone's going to look away, that means they're looking for someone else maybe to bring in. That means they're not seeing the value of the value of the product doesn't meet the cost. And so when they're starting to look elsewhere, so we want to bring that in. And like some of and we'll call them competition, they're apps, so they're not full competition, but there are some apps out there. And those competition, those companies, they charge, like, it was crazy. I went incognito and I talked, because I have, my wife runs, she's CEO of other companies. And so I go incognito under those companies and I'll reach out to them and say, hey, I'm thinking about bringing this into my company. How much does that cost? And because they're not very transparent on their website, which is crazy in today's market. Why are you not transparent? We are fully transparent. If you go to our website, it has all of our pricing listed. But this business is like, yeah, hey, we'll set it up. We'll blah, blah, blah. We'll do this. And then for 120 clicks, it's like $300 a month. And then anything more than that, then you go into a high yield, click. So it's going to be more than 300, but we're not going to charge you as much and, per click. And I just find that crazy. Like, ours is unlimited clicks. We're a flat rate every month, and it makes it really simple. So you got to test it as a founder. You got to figure out what your price is. You got to, you got to A/B test, always, and you're constantly A/B testing, and eventually you'll lock it in.
Don't you think, Tim, though, and you can answer this too, Scott, but like the founders that start a business that don't want to sell, I get why they're starting a business, but unless they bring in someone to actually help them sell, they're probably not going to make it.
For sure, but even you can't no one is going to be a salesperson more than the owner of the company or the founder.
Well, you're always selling.
Always.
That's my point. If you can't sell anything, right? Like I think that everyone in every position at every point is always a salesperson. Sure. A kid crying to their parent, the dog trying to go outside, me trying to get on, me trying to convince Scott to be on this show, me trying to convince you to be my friend. I'm always selling something.
Yeah.
But people don't look at it as selling. Well, guess what? It's 100% selling. There's we're constantly selling. We're constantly marketing to people, and people just like, they don't even grasp it. Oh, I want to get that girl to date me. I want to get that guy to date me. Whatever it is, it's just like, I'm married. I don't need that. But like,
to me,
you got to get over it.
Yeah. The biggest red flag with all the founders that I meet or people that are trying to raise money, and when you ask them how they're going to sell, and whenever their answer is, I'm looking for a salesperson, I mean, that's just a huge red flag. I mean, it just, you can have a salesperson, but like Scott is so gregarious and just always on, that culture is going to instill into whoever he hires. But man, I mean, you're just go, 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 go. You're still the number one salesperson in your company. I mean, you gotta be.
Looking back to at like situations where I wanted to have a salesperson, I clearly was always the best salesperson in the company.
100%.
Like I always sold the most whenever I was able to like sell out an event or anything like that. It was me manually reaching out to people, being salesman Zack. And the reason I didn't want to do it is because I didn't want to do it. I wanted to be doing other things, but I was able to get the results and no one else was able to. And that's not to throw shade at those people. It's just to say that, look, there's a reason why the person who started the business is able to sell the best way people interact. And it's the way I met you in reverse, Tim, and the way I met you, Scott, by doing something well, got you guys into my office. A couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Sorry,
go ahead.
Say something. Yeah. Go.
Well, I was just gonna say you're absolutely right. Like, and the funniest one that I always hear is, I don't want to sell, I want to do service. Well, if you don't think that service is selling, then, actually, if you YouTube sales is service, service is selling or something, there's this really horrible video out there. Like it is so bad. It's like a throwback to the 80s, and it's like this old guy and older woman with their employees, and it's like, sales is service and service is selling. It's really bad.
Gavin, please find that because I want to see it and I can't wait.
I will send you the link. I will find it. But
okay.
Like service is selling. Like when you're servicing that client,
you're looking for things.
You're reaffirming that they made a right decision with your company, and you're doing that. Like, think about, why is Amazon so successful? Well, their return policy is like, you want to return it? Done. Return. Or, for example, just happened a couple days ago. My wife's she ordered this like pillow cover thing, and it said that your order was lost. So Amazon reaches out, says, hey, look, it looks like it's lost. Click this button to ask for a refund. Boom, refund hit, and it said, by the way, you may still get it, just keep it. It's like, and sure enough, 2 days later,
because it's more expensive for them to deal with it the other way. I think so. I like to think about that situation. I think there are certain companies that can do that easier than others, but at the end of the day,
it's extremely easy for Amazon, extremely difficult for a startup.
Yeah, obviously, they need that money coming back. They invested it, they put the price in there. But what's interesting is, I think there's pieces that you can peel back the onion from and say, okay, what can I do from that? What really is the most important thing there? It's not that they accepted the return. It's how easy and seamless that process was. To the extent of when I actually had to return something that was gifted to me a couple months ago. Actually, Tim gifted to me, it broke. So we had to get a different one. That was the only process. It's a funny story. We don't need to get into it.
No good deed goes unpunished.
When you gift something and return it to Amazon, that process is a little wonky, but that's it. Everything else with Amazon is great in that situation. Customer service. I think at the end of the day, this is what we're saying. Customer service is the single most important thing in a business. And your product can be absolutely trash, but your customer service be amazing, and you will get those people coming back.
As my COO, his name's John Torreson, has 25 years of experience in the publication world. But he said the minute you sell someone is the minute you're retaining them. So the minute you sell, you have to have pieces in place, automations in place that is going to continually retain that client over the years. So, and I can't agree with him more.
My favorite day.
I mean, no, the other thing going into that is that you hear a lot of founders talk about, man, I can't raise any money. And it's just like, well, dude, if you can't get your first or second customer, what makes you think that you're going to get money from an investor?
Yeah. Well, that was one of our things too, is that we keep saying like, hey, our biggest moneymaker is advertisers. And now that we're live, they're like, an investor who wants to come in, they're like, well, you say that's your biggest revenue. How much advertising, on your platform have you sold? And if you start seeing a tumbleweed going by and you start crickets, that may not be, that's going to be kind of hard to push like, hey, I'm going to become $1 billion company without this. Like we're excited because we actually have people reaching out to us that want to advertise on our platform now at some of these hospitals. I mean, think about it. If you're at a hospital and you're a Walgreens right next door to that hospital and you have a pharmacy, wouldn't you want to have a coupon ad on our platform that's saying, hey, get 10% off your pharmacy, fill up right here. That hospital has a pharmacy most likely, but you can go next door and get 10% off versus buying it right there in the hospital. Why not take advantage?
Well, perfect case in point. So you were trying to raise money before your product launch.
Mm-hmm.
Compare that to now, if you make those same phone calls or emails to investors and you say, all right, now we've launched and we have 120 paid locations, I'm sure that the way that they respond is probably pretty different.
So yes, but I'm going to surprise you in this. Okay,
Ooh,
raising capital, I think, with an idea and a thought, a great idea, and you could get an MVP. I think it's actually kind of easier than when you go live, because even though you have a sold product and that's great, now they're looking at like, well, what's your ARR, what's your MRR, what's your team look like, what's this, like they start like picking apart, like, okay, you have this great idea, but now what's your traction? And even if I show, hey, we're in 120, 130 locations within the first 60 days of going live, which is fantastic for any company, which, by the way, the majority of those companies are already talking to us about renewing, which is awesome. They want to go into a long-term contract with us because they don't want to renew necessarily every month or every year. They want to just be done, which is great. We're all for it. But I find that dealing with investors now, it's like a little bit more tricky. Like you have to have more gusto behind the product.
Is that because they liked you before?
I think that there's a component behind that. They're buying into the founder, or it's like when you look at like Elon Musk, right? Like some would say he's entertaining, or some would say he's really boring. There's probably investors that made decisions based on his personality. I'll tell you what though. When he put that Starlink, and let's all say a special prayer for Ukraine, but when he moved that Starlink over in a split second to give them internet, I bet he made me a buyer of Tesla. If I'm going to ever buy an electric car, I want to buy it from him.
Yeah, for sure.
So now there's some controversy in that,
But with that though, now that goes right into the next phase in terms of, as founders, you gotta tell that story. You gotta track your metrics. You need to know your numbers, and you need to show that month-over-month user growth and revenue growth. And then part of the soundtrack in your pitch is, well, yeah, I need your investment money so that we can continue on the trajectory that we have. And a lot of
I agree with that.
Yeah, and there's just so many founders that don't want to. Yeah, we'll talk.
We'll put pressure on screen. Hey, so no, you're right? Like there is absolutely, you need to know your numbers. And one thing that I also like to tell all founders, you could buy cheap crap out there. It's all available. There is cheap crap out there for sure that you can go and purchase. But some of the things that I found that are absolutely critical in starting a business, if you plan to be a business that will be here for the years, and that you plan to sell it, and you want to get to a 10x, a 15x, whatever it is, then you have to spend some money on doing things right. And the big one there for a lot of founders is the legal compartment. Make sure you have, like, I hear founders all the time say like, oh, I'm going to give them, I'm going to create my own convertible note, and I'm going to give them, da 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 da. And I'm saying, well, who are you giving that to? And they're like, well, my friend over here, John Smith. Well, okay, how much money does John Smith make, per year? Well, he probably makes $40,000 a year. Does he have $1 million in liquid? No, definitely not. Okay, well then you can't actually have him as an investor, because you have to find yourself sophisticated investors or accredited investors that make $250,000 or have $1 million in liquid, but they would never know that without getting the proper legal advice. Right. And then they can put themselves in a lot of financial harm down the road.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, you've got to do it the right way from the very beginning. It's
Absolutely
crazy to me how people will try to skirt around and take the shortcut, man. And then you have to pay 3 times the amount to fix everything later. You go through due diligence, then you can't get another, for a larger investment, and everything is dorked up because it wasn't done the right way the first time. I mean, it's a mess.
Hey, I'll give a plug out there. We got a accredited investor invested with us. It used to be called CIT, but now it's VIPC. And what's really neat about them,
what's it called now?
VIPC. Yeah. So
what's that?
I have to look it up, but it's Virginia
Innovation Partners.
Yeah. Partners.
Oh, why did they change the name?
So,
sorry.
I think it has a lot to do with more focus on Virginia.
We're going to have them on as a future guest, so
Awesome.
we'll talk about that.
Yeah, that's great.
Right.
Well, they're fantastic. And what was interesting is all these investors who've invested in us. Not, I mean, I shouldn't say all these. We don't have that many because we didn't crowdfund. But the investors who did invest in us, none of them asked me about a background check. None of them asked me about a credit check. And like the thing is like if I'm, let's just say I was convicted of something really horrible, 10 years ago or 15 years ago, like wouldn't you want to know that's who you're investing in? Like wouldn't you want to know that?
Is that the
before
norm?
There's some that is the norm.
I mean,
they
like
don't care. It's crazy.
I tell all the founders that I mentor and work with, I have them, and so for founders that are listening, you create that document library right now with all your bank statements, all your legal paperwork, all that there's not any known legal cases or anything that are coming your way. I mean, just the more that you can have all that due diligence up front ready to go, and then you just give someone access to that Dropbox or Google folder and they can look at it, dude, it just makes everything so much smoother. All your accreditation, your business entity paperwork, IP paperwork, just all needs to be done and buttoned up and make it easy.
Yep. It's you don't have to, the best advice I could ever give a founder besides the legal part is you don't have to know it all. Just get the people around you that know it. And when you get the right people around you that know it, then you'll be fine. But you've got to surround yourself with people that are smarter than you. I love being the dumbest person at the table all the time, and I'm totally okay with that. And it's because the people around me are just absolutely brilliant. And yeah, so but going back to VIPC and CIT, they asked me, they said, hey, we're going to invest in you. We're excited. We're excited to be a part of this. But here's our only thing is that we have to do a background check. And my response to him was like, finally. That's literally what I said to him. I said, finally. And he goes, excuse me. And I said, yeah, I said, finally. I said, I've raised over $500,000 and no one has done a single background check or a credit check on me. You guys are the first to do it. Maybe that's why they're so accredited and why people look to them like, hey, if they're investing in someone, maybe that's something to look at. And they
could be a state
thing.
I told them finally. Aren't they state
there's
regulated?
some state funding, and they have to, but it's part of their due diligence. Like they're going to check that, and that's good. Like I think that's smart. So, So anyways, I'm not worried. But it was really funny when they did that, and it was great. It was a great feeling to know that, hey, look, I've done everything. Now, I'm not saying somebody who has bad credit shouldn't be a founder. Okay, just have explanations for why you have bad credit, but nobody checks credit. So that's I always think that's interesting. And if you have a bad background, be ready to explain it. Don't let them
could be a
find
story
it.
there.
Yeah, don't let them find it. Let you be forthcoming with it. Be transparent with it. It shouldn't be I meet you, everything looks great. Hey, Scott, got a problem. We found this in your background. It should be, hey, nice to meet you. I'm raising this. By the way, let me just share a couple of things about my past that you may want to know. I have, I did this. I robbed this store when I was 8. I just turned 18 years old, and that's going to show up on my criminal background, but I'm 38 years old. That was 20 years ago. And since then, I blah, blah, blah. Like you have to have an explanation and say, you're going to find this. I want to tell you about it. And don't be scared about it, because guess what? They're going to find out now, or they're going to find out later, and you don't want them to find out later. So
another thing that is incredibly smart is for people who subscribe to this show. So wherever you are listening right now, go ahead and download it, subscribe it, like it, share it, do all those things that allow us to come into your earbuds at least once a week. And for those of you that re-listen on a daily basis, thank you. I will do soothing Zack Miller voice right now. Scott's taking a note. Download now. Thank you.
Oh, hold on. I need to follow. I was joking with Tim the other day. I saw him, or yesterday, 2 days ago.
Oh,
yesterday?
yeah.
And I was joking with I was like, oh, I get this newsletter from you. I said, and someone says, oh, I read it every time. And I was like, look, I'm not going to fluff this. I don't read it every time. I read it. And then what I always do when I do read it, like from time to time, I always regret that I didn't read the ones previous, but now I don't have time to go back. And so I said, you know what? I'm just going to be real about it. But it is nice. I get to see you guys all the time. You guys always put out good nuggets and great information. So I appreciate you guys. So yeah, everybody should subscribe. It's great stuff.
Yeah, but it's for the founders. I mean, I tell everybody that's my North Star. It's whatever I can do to clear the path for the founders and make life easy for them. That's what it's all about. I love seeing the success that you have and following everything along. It's just constant messaging on LinkedIn, and it's all really, really good stuff. So, yeah, it's great.
I want to
appreciate that, and also same to you guys. Doing great.
I want to ask one more question. My favorite day of the year is the Super Bowl. I think this day started in college because I would throw parties. I'd buy kegs and pizza and beer. That's what kegs are. Chicken wings, and I'd have people pay me to enjoy that, watch my big screen TV, and we watch the games. I've continued that tradition, but by myself at this point. I don't buy a keg, but I love the Super Bowl. And I don't know, it seems like the last decade, the commercials have been absolutely terrible, absolutely bonkers. This year, I thought they were tremendous. I thought there was a lot of bangers out there that just were hitting it really, really good. There was one that not only broke the internet, but also I think is probably the one of the top 3 greatest Super Bowl ads of all time. Very unique, somewhat controversial, depending. And it was the QR code Coinbase ad. Your business is basically built off of a QR code.
Right.
When you saw that ad, what were your general thoughts?
Well, what's funny is you should have saw my phone blowing up where people were like, "Is this you? Is this Magazine Jukebox?" Like before I scan it.
Oh,
like,
it was your mom and your dad.
Literally, no. I must have received at least 50 or 60 text messages, be like, "Hey, is this Magazine Jukebox?" Like, it was incredible that people are associating Magazine Jukebox to QR codes, which is fantastic. That's what we want. And but then I said, well, I don't know, scan it. I was like, I couldn't say. And of course, if you don't know, for anybody who ever scans a QR code, if you don't know, if you hover your camera over it, it will tell you what it is before you click on it. So it'll give you like a little intro of what it is before you. It's just like a small name, whatever the company name. If you don't know what that QR code is and it doesn't have a name coming across the bottom, like ours will always say Magazine Jukebox. But if someone doesn't pop up a company name or a website, you may not want to scan it. It said, I knew right away once I hovered over it, it said crypto, and I knew that it was, or Coinbase or something like that. And so I knew what it went to. But yeah, people are conditioned to QR codes. QR codes have actually been around for like 20 years. Like
the big thing on QR codes is they were built in the technology now, where before they weren't. So they were a standalone
Correct.
app.
You had to download an app.
The barrier to entry is a lot easier to get into now.
Absolutely.
But you've never seen someone take the risk like that on the screen. A lot of people are like, oh, it was terrible. I'm like, really? The hardest thing about any kind of commercial is how are you going to get that traffic there? And you know exactly that traffic's there. I don't think that ad ever works again. You will see people trying to do it again. I guarantee that.
I you know what? I absolutely agree with you. They were, frontiers in that, and they led the charge for sure. And I think you're absolutely right, though. It won't get to that level. But what I will say is that maybe someone will do their logo and just scan here.
People do, people do that now. But it was never something so. DVD style screen moving across. There was a nostalgia aspect of it.
Did you see what our marketing director? He made a video on Instagram. If you go to @Magazine Jukebox on our Instagram. No, he just did the one, and it looked like, remember that old Pong game? Like that's kind of what it looked like. And when it got to the end, it's like you see this whole crowd erupt, and like it was a goal, and soccer, and just like, whoa, like it hit the end.
At the bar in England or whatever.
Video. Yeah,
got it.
Yep.
Yeah, that commercial concept was pitched by the Martin Agency,
allegedly.
But that's a Richmond-based agency.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a controversy there where they claim that they pitched it. They didn't go with it.
Yeah,
they did go.
It's tough to argue when they're posting screenshots of refer to page such and such, paragraph such and such. I don't know. But the Martin Agency, man, they got some big clients.
I wonder if they'll be able to scoop back some of that. They paid $14 million for the space itself, or $13 million some change just for that 1 minute ad. So I'd be very curious.
$7 to actually create the ad, plus what was Martin Agency getting out of that? Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, and if you look at the lifetime value of the customers on Coinbase, dude, the economics behind that was just a brilliant move.
Yeah. It was
last time you were on the show, Scott, I think you were wearing a Dodgers hat, if I remember right. Did you give up on the West Coast?
No. So it like I follow my Dodgers. I'm from the Hollywood area, Los Angeles, California. So I always follow the Dodgers. I grew up like 20 minutes from the stadium. But yeah, it's so I follow like baseball and basketball. I'm West Coast. It's gonna sound crazy. I like basketball team like the Clippers, and I like baseball teams the Dodgers. These are professional teams, of course. And then, but for some reason, since I was 3 years old, I have pictures of me at 3 years old wearing a Redskins jersey, and I have no idea. I think it had something to do with And this is the sad part where they took out the name Redskins, is that I really associate it to Indians, and I really thought that was neat, and so I wanted to carry that way. And I remember I did a huge class project on the Apache Indians when when the Redskins were playing the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl, and so I've always been a Redskins fan. Yep. And well, you guys lost. But I've always been a this fan, and I just it's hard. Like I didn't want to come off it. Now they're the Commanders, and it's like, did they leave me? Do I leave them? Do I stick through it? What do I do? And then this Vegas team pops up, and I really love Las Vegas. I love going there. And I always tend to win, so that's always good. So I was like, maybe I'll just follow them now, but I just couldn't do it.
DJ
So
Khaled music here.
I just wish baseball
I ended up
their lesson, man.
Yeah, so I ended up
with
sticking with them. They're going to keep me, so I just can't move off of it. But here, okay, so talk about and this is what's so dumb about them removing the name, right? Guess what? For the rest of my life, I'm going to be able to pick up Redskins paraphernalia. Just going to be able to do it. And so the name is never going away. Like they can remove the name, but you're going to still be able to pick up. Like think about how many. Like I have a hat that's the Brooklyn Dodgers hat. Brooklyn Dodgers don't exist anymore.
Yeah,
but I still pick them up.
I thought I heard something that they were trying to have people that go to the games not wear Redskins gear, where if you actually went in, you wouldn't. I find that hard to believe that they would police like that.
No way. That's freedom of speech. Like I doubt that they would infringe on that.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Wow.
But we are Commanders.
Yeah, Commanders it is.
That's their new theme song. There was a bunch of people at FedEx Field.
Really?
You haven't seen this video? Yeah,
No.
so there was a bunch of people at the announcement that got on camera, and they stole the State Farm or Allstate, whatever that is.
Farmers.
Whatever it is. What is it? Farmers?
Yeah,
no,
we are farmers.
Like
it is State Farm.
We are. Oh no,
we are farmers. Yeah, so
yes,
we
farmers.
are Commanders. Bump.
Yeah, well, I always love how that leaked out, like what their name was, like 2 days before. First of all,
right.
I forget
Terrible
who the
secret.
gentleman was. Yeah, but then the other one,
I wanted it to be the Hogs.
Someone took a picture of their shop, like through the window, and it had all the Commanders uniform or all the stuff in there, and they started sharing that, and they're like, "Well, we know this is the name."
Defenders would have been a good one. Obviously, that's an XFL team, which now Dwayne. My good friend.
When does the season kick off for that?
Well, okay, so they moved it. They bumped it to 23 because they were trying to do a partnership with CFL that fell through. Now they just announced that they are doing some quasi relationship with the NFL. But the more the story of that is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson had $7 in his pocket and has turned into one crazy SOB.
How many times do we get to hear that story that he shares it well, and he does, and I am thrilled for his success, and I would love to meet him one day. I'm probably not as big of a fan as you are, but I'm a big fan. So
his arms are the size of my waist.
I don't keep his poster. I don't keep his poster up behind me. I haven't had a poster of anybody on my wall since I was a little girl. So I just don't know.
We can see people behind you.
That would be my wife, not a poster of my wife. And,
what about the other way?
That is that's not a poster. That's more of a, let's see. Can you guys see that now?
Yeah.
It's more of a motivational. Yeah, it's motivation.
You don't think that poster of The Rock is motivation, staring me down?
It says, "Hard work is not enough. Keep going. No excuses."
Well, it is what it is. I'll keep my Rock poster.
I hate that saying. Absolutely hate that saying. It is what it is. That's the worst saying ever. It's the most lazy saying I've ever heard in my life.
It is what it is, but please subscribe, and we'll see you guys next week. Appreciate it. Scott, continued success. See you in like 39 weeks. Cheers.
Yeah, don't forget everybody, follow us at Magazine Jukebox on Instagram, Twitter. Well, not Twitter. Yeah, Twitter. I don't know if we're on Twitter.
Just go to magazinejukebox.com.
Yeah, we're on
click
everything.
the link from there.
Tiki Talk, whatever that is now.
Peace.